The following podcast contains mature language. Listener discretion is advised.
The community is changed. I feel it in the water. I feel it in the earth. I smell it in the air. Much that once was is lost, for none that rage quit remembered. It began with the forging of the official pins. 3 were given to the Kemperati, wisest and fairest of all collectors. 7 to the casuals, who placed them in uneven rows on plain corkboard and shadow boxes. And 9 pins were gifted to the pillars, who above all else desire power. For within these pins was bound the strength and will to govern the community. But they were all of them deceived, for another pin was made. In the Pinnypals Slack, in the After Dark channel, 4 upstart podcasters had forged in secret a pin to overshadow all others. And into this pin they poured their wit, their insight, and their desire to entertain. One pin to rule them all. One pin to find them. One pin to bring them all, and at PAX West, bind them.
This is Evanephrine, and if it doesn't sound like I'm talking through a $20 omnidirectional microphone, then you must be listening to Pinnypals After Dark.
Yes, friends, welcome. Welcome to the latest installment of Pinnypals After Dark. As we continue the march towards our first episode, we looked at the calendar and saw that it's almost the middle of October, which means it's high time to look back at West 2016. We here at Pinnypals After Dark don't believe in punishing listeners with 2-hour slogfests, so we've broken this into 2 parts. The first hour you're listening to now, an irreverent look at the people and happenings at West. And then our second hour, to be released in a future episode, in which the crack team that brought you the highly acclaimed Pinnypals After Dark pin critiques the West pins from a design aesthetic perspective. Sit back, relax, crack a tall boy, and let the smooth, dulcet tones of the Pinnypals After Dark staff lead you to deeply question your life choices. So a few weeks back, Renfamous, lazorz, Hingo, Craig, and I sat down and discussed our PAX West experiences, ranging from pin dinners to staff trading to the Reese's ball pit. And here's what we came up with.
So speaking of the pin dinner, Adam, what did you think of Lunchbox Laboratory?
Yeah, so I don't have a great story to tell, but just based on previous dinners, I think it turned out really good. Food was pretty good for the price, and there was a shit ton of people.
There were a lot of people there. I had no fucking clue who they were, so that's a good sign, right?
Exactly.
I was like, who the fuck are you? Here, have a tiny cheeseburger. I don't know you.
There's like people that showed up, like I don't even know who they were. Like even after I saw the whole list, I'm like, who are these people? Like I recognize you, but I don't know who you are.
Yeah, but that's like the point. You get out there and you meet the people behind the names.
I mean, it was just so goddamn expensive though. Because Fawn has got the most ridiculously expensive taste in cheeseburgers. I don't even know what she wants from me.
Well, it was like, what, $20 or something like that for like the place?
Like $800 cheeseburger, approximately.
Yeah. We could have just as easily gone to Dick's, got like 3 bags of mini burgers, and just sat in the Sheridan lobby.
Play board games?
Saved like $780.
Yeah, it could have just as easily gone to the fucking Hilton and gotten a bottle of crystal and poured it all over each other because fuck.
I mean, it wasn't a Thornwatch pin, but it was pretty close.
It wasn't as expensive as a Thornwatch pin, but it was like so close.
I mean, even though it's a little on the higher end as far as prices for previous dinners go, I haven't seen any complaints except for, the usual suspects.
Well, I think this is also the first one where it was like a set price too to get in. Like every other time, I think we just been able to order, right?
Yeah.
Except for East. No, East didn't work out though.
Poor Rent.
Yeah.
I hear East was fantastic.
I missed it because I was too drunk and passed out early.
I'm noticing a pattern.
Apparently so.
Craig's Thursday track record is terrible.
Yeah, PAX Day 0 was really messed up for me. Now, to be on topic, what I remember from the pin dinner, Fawn did a great job. And I think I want to give him a quiplash too. I had one really good answer and everybody just looked at it because they knew it was me. Because Adam had his name, not Craig. I think I also had not Craig on there or something like that. I forget. And everybody thought that Adam was me, and I had to convince everybody that it wasn't.
I just find it hilarious because I was single-mindedly the part of the pin dinner that I was sober for. The one thing I had in my head is before you get blitzed, you need to get this picture for your slide.
Yeah, I was one step ahead,
or else Evan's going to light your ass up and get mad at you. So get this photo. And so I'm finding Craig, and I'm trying to massage him into being ready to take this photo, and he is not having it. And all I can think of in my 2 beer in mind is that Craig has decided that he can't have his face in the Penny slideshow. He's thinking that what if my mom sees this? He's thinking I just can't deal with that level of fame and notoriety. And so he's having this internal struggle because he told me he'd do it. And I'm just over here like, great, I got to find someone else who looks fucking shady. And then I realized everyone looks shady because holy fuck, this group.
You got Hobbs, and Hobbs did a great job with it.
Hobbs did do a good job, and I was really surprised. I didn't think he'd go for it, but he did. He did a good job. He had to take off his E-badge to take my shady photo because it would turn into like a political commentary if he took that photo wearing the E-badge. Both people in the photos were both enforcers, and they both had to take off their badges, so it didn't get weird.
I mean, West is basically like Christmas, right? So the day after Christmas, all the kids get together and they talk about what they got from Santa. And what'd you guys get from Santa?
So my favorite pin of the show is Quincy, because regardless of the fact that I know that he's an iguana, he still looks like a dinosaur and he's chewing on a Super Nintendo controller. Mm-hmm. And that pretty much defines my childhood, dinosaurs and Super Nintendo.
Nice.
So that was my favorite pin of PAX Prime 2016.
On brand.
Koo's gone. Fuck him.
Craig.
My original favorite pin that I was going to enjoy the most when I went there was the U6 pin, because I love Rick and Morty. But I ended up loving the Drawful Owl when I saw it in person. And actually,
it's a very contentious pin.
The Drawful Owl?
Yeah, a lot of people do not like that pin. I can't remember who.
No, but it's if you don't actually understand how a game works, especially this one where you're the intentions are to just draw something terrible, it's basically just symbolic of our crew that plays these games together.
Hey, Lazorz.
What?
Lazorz, what was your favorite pin of this past PAX?
I like Quincy too.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Get some original thought here. Come on. How about a big fucking pile of clickers I got? That's the best pin.
How many clickers you get?
I've got 16 clickers now.
So how many did you get there? 10 or?
Yeah, no, I ended up getting 11 clickers at West. People I didn't know. People I should probably know who they are, but don't, because I'm an asshole. They were coming up to me and hey, I saved this clicker for you and specifically brought it to this event so I could give it to you. And I'm like, what is your name?
Yeah, because it's garbage fodder.
Wait. Are we talking about the pin still, or is this something else?
Well, yeah, she's saying the clicker is the best pin that was released at West this year.
He said best pin of West. I think the best pin of West was probably Lyric Myth.
The dragon.
The dragon. It's a really pretty pin. Simple. I don't know. People are gonna say they liked. I know everyone's shitting themselves over Mysterion, and honestly, those are not very well designed or made pins. The line work is bad. I don't like the way they look. I know Lazorz likes them.
And the eyes bubble.
Yeah, I like the simplicity and the heavy lines, and it's no Pinnypals After Dark pin, but it's damn close.
So, Adam, what was your favorite pin from West 2016?
Hands down, Thimbleweed Park. It's like the greatest pin that's ever been made, honestly. I like to see someone try to tell a story with a pin, and like none of the PA pins so far, except for a few, actually try to tell a story. And I think that one, like, really...
You mean, like, damn it, Roach? Damn it, Roach? That told a story.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's an attempt at it.
Yeah, how to not make a pin.
Yeah.
But have a sweet backing.
But the designer of this pin was actually... she and her husband were demoing a game on the other corner from Thimbleweed called Burly Men at Sea. And it's like a point-and-click adventure story thing. And it's just 100% adorable. But, I mean, she really...
Did they tweet that it's the only pin that has a dead body on the front of it?
Yes.
Or something like... I remember that tweet. I remember that. That was funny.
Yes. But no, I think she killed that design. And, like, and then you look at the illustration in her game, and it's really, really good. So I hope that this isn't the last one that she does. Yeah, so the pin quest drops, and everyone freaks out, and everyone is always 100% wrong. And it's never as bad as everyone thinks.
Well, I would like to make a shout out to the lazy ass people running the booths at PAX, like King of the Kill, where it was like, just, you got to do this shit to get this pin, or you're not getting this pin. And that was on Friday.
Yeah.
And then by Sunday, it was like, please take this pin. You can spin the wheel. You cannot spin the wheel. We're going to stick some pins into the board in front of the photo booth, and you can just take one out of the board. They were done. By Sunday, they were just handing those out.
Like, if you made eye contact, you got 3.
I was going to say that's what's strange about some of the viewpoints in this community, right? So you have things like the Adult Swim Lounge, which was ridiculous, right? Because it was capped a lot of the days before the hall even opened. And so people became upset that they couldn't get the pin themselves. But you see these people that have, binders and binders full of spare pins, yet refuse to trade some of their rares away from previous packs for the rares from this packs, right? And I think, it's something that makes Penny Arcade trading fun is that you can trade old pins for new pins and trade around and, build and change your collection. There's no point to really hoarding a spare of every single pin, right? If you still need pins from this packs.
No point in hoarding, you're saying. Lazorz.
I don't hoard, I trade away.
You do. You find a way to get an influx into the community, and you circulate. You get around. No, but you're right. I mean, it almost sometimes feels like there are people that don't. I mean, they're avoiding trading. They're avoiding the communication. They're avoiding the interaction with people in the community because it's somehow less desirable to them than finding someone and sneaking around, talking to a booth employee and getting palming 2 pins for $40 and walking away back to the room.
And as bad of a rap as Lazorz gets, I've never seen him not be forthcoming with opening his pin bag and just spraying pins over the face of the community.
That's just something I think is ridiculous, right? Because when I go to PAX, the thing I get most excited for is doing those trades, right? Especially, what I think is super fun is like when we were able to sit down at those tables next to merch booth and I could open my pin bag, not when we were doing the community pretending to be staff members thing, but sometimes when we would just do like regular community trades next to the merch booth. And I just opened up my book and there are people who walk by with only 10 or 15 pins. And they're like, oh, I've been really looking for, the Coon pin from South Park, but, I couldn't get to the line or I was capped or whatever. And it's so fun to, just give them the opportunity to get that pin from a trade. And in return, you get something else that you've been looking for. That's way more fun, in my opinion, than just throwing $15 down on a table and getting a pin.
So, I mean, if you go to West and like pins is basically all you're there for, it's like basically Friday and then you just have 3 days where you wander around, right? I mean, wasn't everything really kind of packed on Friday, schedule-wise?
Everything worth attending. Could have saved money on 3 days of badges.
Yeah, so the pin panel was at noon, the South Park panel was at 3, the staff trading was at 4, and then community trading was at 7. So if you were new to the community and the pin panel was the first thing you showed up for at around 11:30 or so to get in line, then you had a bad time.
If I didn't know better, I would say that Mike and Jerry had other shit to do. But I know better, they didn't. I genuinely think it was them trying to make the pin thing difficult. I don't know if they're trying to, I mean, do you think that much thought goes into scheduling the pin-related stuff?
No.
Nah.
No, especially not staff trading, but like the South Park panel, I think that's just how that one fell. Pin panel, did anybody like make any requests for that to be at a certain time?
Well, weren't they like, hey, let's not have this on Friday first thing? And then it ended up being Friday the first thing?
It was probably requested to be before staff trading, right?
It was originally at the same time, or like almost.
No, that's not true. It wasn't the same time. It was just really close, and so we ended up requesting that we could just have some sort of adjustment be made. And in effect, they just completely shifted both the pin panel and staff trading a couple hours earlier on Friday. And so it shoved it, the panel started at noon, which is really crazy because that's so early on in PAX. But then it also shifted the staff trading back a bit, which put it an hour away from South Park.
And put it in during expo hours.
Yeah. Which in effect, does make it so the staff trading doesn't get as packed, which is really, really nice because last year was a huge clusterfuck, right? Like, easily, 70% of the people that showed up at Prime 15 for staff trading didn't get to go in.
If staff trading was the same time, like on Saturday, it would have been a lot better, I think. Just because you would have had that day break. But having it during Expo is fine because you do get like less people that are just there to go for something to do.
I would have liked having the panel on not Friday just because I feel like after Friday, I mean, I guess as someone that attended their first PAX recently, you go in Friday thinking you know what you're doing. And then at the end of the day on Friday, you're like, I should check the schedule because probably missed some shit.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm going to plan my next 3 days out and look at the schedule. Oh, wait, the pin trading panel already happened. I guess I'm not going to that. Fuck those guys.
Well, thankfully the panel had a good turnout.
It did. And the panel was pretty good too. It was nice seeing a mix.
You 50% of the panel that's on the podcast did a good job. So.
Well, I mean, it wasn't the same thing, which I think was nice.
I think everybody did good. I think everybody improved from where they were in our trial runs on the panel. I mean, everybody had some room for improvement, and everyone improved. So, except for Hingo. Hingo just...
knocked it out of the fucking park twice in a row. Thanks, Ren. You're the best. Next time I'm walking into the panel to Blaze of Glory.
You say that like anyone in that panel could have figured out the audio and or visual requirements of playing theme music.
Yeah, we just have the Alt tab out. Load up the video that I saved off of YouTube from a USB flash drive. Open up media player from Windows 95.
Oh god, when they ran that thumb drive up to us and we're like, okay, you have to open these in a specific order and only at this time. I'm like, oh god, we're gonna die. There are very specific instructions here that we are not going to be able to handle.
Yeah, you should see how that was organized. It was 2 folders. One of them said open first. The other folder said open last.
We should have opened the last folder first, just to trigger Kiko.
Please just do what the folders say, please.
Yeah, so there were community trading events going on.
I feel so bad for anyone that walked into those community trade events and walked up to my table first. Because it's like, haha, sucker, I ain't got shit. Garbage pins forever.
And then I sit there with my binder and I'm just like, I'm not really being aggressive with trading on. I'm just kind of here. If you want to look through it, go for it. And people are like, what do you want for Leroy? And I'm like, I really don't want anything for Leroy. So.
Did y'all have a lot of people, like a lot of kids and newbies walk up to you and like want you to do the whole trade interaction?
Yes.
Like they were just like not familiar with the concept at all. So they're like wanting you to decide what trades for what. And you're just not equipped to do that.
Ren, did you liken that to going to like the red light district and then being like, I don't know, why don't you just jack off, I guess? I'm like, oh, this is great. This is everything I ever hoped for. I had plenty of people that also did the same thing where they'd come up and be like, oh, you have this pin, what do you want for it? And then I'd say, what do you have? And then they would say, I don't know. And that's really not an answer? Well, I'm not trading any of these pins. Like, awesome, you have 0 visible pins for trade, so...
What will you give me for this pin in my pocket? I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's here.
Close your eyes and put your hand in here.
No, that's Becker's game.
I had this precocious little turd blossom come up to me at my table. Had to have been like 10 years old. He came up to the table and he was like, what will you give me for anything on this lanyard? And I'm like, all right, son, I have 2 flasks in. And you're lucky I'm doing my half of this trade. And I am sure as shit not doing your half. So.
It was interesting. Like, I have no problem with informing people about value of pins if they ask, but when they don't ask any questions other than, what do you have? And then it's blatantly laying on a table in front of you, so that question's already answered. I don't really know how to respond to that.
Yeah, it's like when the question is one long sentence. What do you give me? It's like, that is not a valid question in this community. You're going to have to learn a little bit.
I'll give you a high five.
I did trade a high five for a pin because I wanted that kid, that little shit stick. I wanted him to go away. Yeah. So I ended up trading him a high five for some pin. I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah, I gave him a pin too, and I was just like, here, go trade it with somebody else.
No, what I did is he wanted my green fist. Like, he was pretending he didn't know what he was doing. He wanted my green fist, and he's offering me some like fucking Christmas set shit. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I've only got 2 or 3, so they're gonna. I was giving him a lesson. I was saying they're gonna be worth more to me because I only have a few. But you know who has a bunch? See the guy over there? His name is Lazorz, right at the middle table. He has a fuck ton of these pins. They're worthless to him, so you should go and offer him whatever you think is the least worthwhile pin on your lanyard, and tell him he's an asshole for me. Now go, son.
Lazorz, what was your experience with the community trading events?
I got lots of pins.
That's cool.
Back to you, Hingo.
Well, no, actually, I really, really, really digged the community trading events this year. You know, the tables especially were like a game changer compared to East. I'm not a big fan of just kind of like flopping yourself on the floor and trying to open a bag and see if anybody eventually comes over, you know. But the best thing about the tables is it's almost like a bazaar type thing, right? At like a fair. Yeah, it's like a craft fair or something, and people just walk around, and you know, you have like the flow of traffic of people, and it's awesome because, you know, easily within the hour I had like at least 50 people walk up to me and, you know, like look through my pins, and, you know, so some percentage of them are interested in making an offer, and, you know, I made like a bunch of trades, and it was awesome.
So Craig, you said that some people weren't happy that other people got tables and they didn't?
Yeah, I remember some people being pissy about like some of the more elite traders got tables first or like claimed them, and they were just being bitches.
Dude, I got a table, and in no world can I be considered an elite trader. I just got there first.
Yeah, you just show up and sit down. Bam. Table.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. There was no tiered system of assignment of tables. There was no there was no hierarchy or food chain. It was, I got there and I sat.
So, Adam, I think this goes back to your broken record thing that's been a comment that we've talked about for a while, is that people need to use their social skills and actually use their words to communicate that they would like a table.
Social skills? Come on.
I would have given up a table. I spent half of PAX popping a squat on the ground anyway. I mean, like, there's no requirement that anyone have a table.
Not once did anyone ask me for table space or to sit down or to even the standing tables that we had for a couple of the days. There was never any ask of people setting up. And I know the first day was the lowest turnout, and Evan and I were set up at one table, and we specifically crowded over on one half of it to keep the other half open, and nobody touched it until Lazorz showed up like 45 minutes into it.
Yeah, people were setting up on the ground. Like, they were making pretty okay looking little spaces for themselves. So I don't know if it was people being afraid to ask or it was people thinking they didn't need a table.
Well, the thing is that tables are like a huge opportunity cost anyway, right? It's not like the table is the superior choice 100% of the time, because, you know, you can set up your wares and people walk by and look at them, but in exchange, you yourself can't walk around and look at all the people who are sitting down as well, which maybe those people have something that you're after and you would never know, you know, because you're sitting down at the table. So it is beneficial to have some table time and some standing up and walking around time.
I mean, it's also different if you're like me and you have loose pens. I mean, you guys that have your pens in a book, no one's going to jack your pens because it's in a book.
That's the coffee canister.
It actually makes it easier to steal them, though.
Well, I mean, it'd be more obvious. But, I mean, I had my pens all loose laid out on a table, so if I went and did a walk around, I'd come back to fewer pens.
Someone just one-to-ones them with their shit. Same amount of pins, just shittier.
God, I should have swapped out all of your pins with P-pad pins.
God, they're all castle guys. What do I do?
The only thing I forgot to add is that the only negative I saw for the staff trade or for the community trading events was that the distance was kind of a negative.
Yeah.
In terms of having people walk.
Has that hotel always been in use for PAX West?
It's the last 2 years, I think. Last 2 or 3 years. It's either that or nothing else, though. That's the thing.
No, they should have moved the Reese's ball pit over to the west
No,
end and then
fuck you,
moved
fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Don't you dare talk about the Reese's Puff Pit like that.
Dude, you lucked out so hard on that ball pit, Craig. Like, you sucked at everything up until the game.
Yeah, that's a metaphor for his life.
Right up until the video game needed to be played.
Yeah, I beat it in 10 seconds. I was fucking done.
Digging through that ball pit, like, you just did not care about winning that.
I cared. Well, when they announced, oh, you get a $10 GameStop gift card afterwards, like, oh, man.
It's weird. You think that Craig would be more comfortable being neck deep in balls?
That's your home.
They put a fucking cape on me and a helmet, and I have to slide down the sled, and it's really hard to fucking move in there, though. Like, you try walking on that many balls. I guess this is my last point I want to make on the community trading was overall very good. The space was cool. The space was really cool. Again, I agree with Hingo, the distance kind of sucked, but it was sort of a, hey, Becca guaranteed us this space. So it was kind of cool. Monday
had a phenomenal turnout. I was expecting Monday to be worse than Friday, honestly.
But the only thing I would have done differently was just like with Friday, how busy and packed and shit it was. Like I would just not have one Friday. That'd be the only thing, because you said there was like such a low turnout, right?
As we take a short break from our West discussion, we have a caller on the line. Caller, hello, what is your name and where are you from?
What the fuck did you just fucking send to me, you little bitch? I'll have you know I traded the top of my group at each Paxson, and I've been involved in numerous secret trades on Pinnypals.com, and I have over 300 positive feedback.
Whoa, hang on a second. Are you sure
I'm trained in trade negotiation, and I'm the top collector in the entire Pinnypals community. You are nothing to me but just another lanyard. I will wipe you the fuck out with my trading precision, the likes of which have never been seen before on this earth. Mark my fucking words.
Sir, I have no idea what you're talking about.
You think you can get away with offering that shit to me over the internet? Think again, fucker. As we speak, I'm contacting my secret Slack channel of pillars across the USA, and your IP is being traced right now, so you better prepare for the storm, maggot.
I'm sorry, storm?
Storm that wipes out the pathetic little thing you call your collection. You're fucking done, kid.
Look, dude, honestly, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I can trade anywhere, anytime, and I can screw you in over 700 ways. And that's just with my trade fodder.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to hang up on you here.
Not only am I extensively experienced in lying about value, but I have access to the entire income of my multiple pin mules, and I will use it to its full extent to wipe your miserable handful of demo pins off the face of the continent, you little shit. If you could have only known what unholy retribution your little value-based trade offer was about to bring down upon you, maybe you would have held your fucking mouse. But you couldn't, you didn't, and now you're paying the price, you goddamn idiot.
Are you done?
I will shit fury all over you, and you will drown in it. You're fucking dead, kiddo.
Well, that was certainly something. So I guess let's get back to the review.
Hey, Ren, did you want to set up the community as staff trading part?
No, I mean, my only comment on that is I feel bad for anyone that looked over there and thought that we were actually the staff of Penny Arcade, because the staff of Penny Arcade is actually, like, overall attractive people.
Hingo was the ringleader, okay? Imagine, like, him being your first impression.
People were looking, I mean, we looked legit right next to Merch, looking over at...
We were next to Enfu. It was like Brian, Enfu, and then me. And then VBT. So I ruined it.
Yeah, Craig, I look like I could work in a warehouse.
You got a face for podcast, Hingo.
10:15 was the message on Slack when it was posted saying 10:45 show up and be there.
Was it that? I thought it was like, I don't even remember. It was that morning though. It was like really soon.
I showed up at around 10:46 a.m. and tried to go back behind the tables where everyone else was, and Merch Mistress grabbed me by my arm and dragged me out into the middle of the group of people and said that I needed to be the face for this event. Yeah, I could talk while looking at other people in the eyes as opposed to at their feet. So I ended up getting a poster from the merch people because they didn't have paper or cardboard that I could use. And then I was handed a palette marker and they said I could write whatever I want. So I wrote that I would answer all of your pin questions or questions in general. So I gave THX 401k advice and also answered people's questions about how to get into pin trading. And as part of that, I would make deals with people that were new because Merch Mistress gave me a handful of pins to give away to new traders.
Okay, now, were these your pins or were they pins that were given to you? Because I've heard different stories about how this...
It's both.
Different people had different things.
So I personally was given some of Merch Mistress's pins to hand out to new traders, and I made a deal with them that if they would walk over to the H1Z1 booth, take a picture, and bring the H1Z1 pin back and show me, then I would give them another pin. So the staff tables were just littered with H1Z1 pins when I was done with it.
But no, I heard that other people were using their own pins in trade, and
Correct.
they were one for oneing or not one for oneing, or I mean, I didn't make it there in time, so.
Yeah, I didn't even know people were doing that. I thought like Merch Mistress was just giving out pins to everybody because when I got there, she's like, Craig, and just hands me lanyards and like a handful of pins, and she just says, go give these to people, or bring new traders in. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, so Cylern, for example, he was one of the people that was doing his own pins, so he just counted out 17 pins, put them down on the table, and was doing one for one. And then when it was time for him to leave, he took 17 pins back up and went back on his way. Some people were providing their own pins, other people were provided pins by Merch Mistress.
And she's just started handing me Castle Guides. Like literally, I had like a bucket of Castle Guides. Like I could have filled a full just coffee can full of Castle Guides, I feel. Well, she just wanted people to give them out. They were essentially like when she was trading with people like as staff, quote unquote. She just had them, and Brian said, "Yeah, it's fine. Just give them away or whatever."
Because it's different when someone hands you a pile of pins and says, these to me are one for one, trade them one for one, as opposed to asking you to pull out of your own collection. What do you consider one for one? Or maybe less than one for one. And
yeah,
and I feel like everyone that went into it kind of doing a service already. I mean, we're taking the place of a staff member. So, I mean, it seems like it's like taking a new job, and the new job asks you to out of pocket buy all of these things because you'll definitely, I mean, we'll pay you back later type thing. And it's like, usually that's Cutco.
Or Spark.
But I had people come up and they were looking...
Hey, Spark works. You shut your whore mouth.
No, but I had people come up to the table and they were looking for, like, one guy was looking for a Tiamat. So I was like, okay, I have one in my bag. But like, I was like, okay, well, we'll walk over here and we'll do a trade out of my personal collection, whatever. Like, I didn't want to like clutter this with that. But there were some people that decided to incorporate their own personal collection.
I am not like I'm too ADD to do something like that. Like if I tried to incorporate my own pins, I'd forget which ones are mine.
Yeah, but like when somebody just like when everybody else there is just doing one for ones and somebody just dumps out their collection on the table, we're just like, don't do that. Like, please go like get it. Like no, like legit, like go away. Like we're trying to like do something really cool here for new people. Like fuck off, essentially.
I think Cylern set the gold standard of what to do if that type of situation arises again for trading your own pins one for one is just do a count.
Oh yeah, I mean that's how anybody should do it. If we're not willing to trade it, then don't fucking put it down there.
Yeah, that's all he had was it. He counted 17 like, all right, I think I'm done. That's a good enough amount of pins in front of me. Eventually, when I was done doing the walking around yelling at people thing, I sat down at the table for a little while after Q and Craig left. So I was sitting by VBT, and I was just used more pins that Merch Mistress gave me, so I was acting as staff. At least that's how I saw it at that point. So I stole one of Brian's favorite games of, if you have a good pin, turn it upside down, because most people won't ask what it is or turn it over.
But I mean, I feel like in that situation, if you want to serve in that capacity, but your options are, I have no pins in front of me. Either I use my own pins or I just go find a Merch Mistress and ask her for pins. I feel like that would be the better option. Like
Correct.
if you want to do this pseudo staff trade and you don't have pins in front of you, just go ask, because clearly there are pins to be had here. And in Penny Arcade, Merch Mistress is not hurting for pins.
Yeah. Well, and they all go back to staff afterwards anyway. So all the pins that I had, eventually Gavin and somebody else showed up at the trade tables afterwards, and I just slid all the pins over and said, these are Merch Mistresses, and they said, okay. And
yeah, and you're going to get them back in the form of a blind box.
You'll be paying for these later, bitches.
So, Lazorz, what was your experience at the community of staff trading as a participant, not as a faux staff member?
Well, I walked up and I didn't know that it was only for new people, apparently, and so the first thing I tried to do was trade a pin off the table, and I instantly got yelled at by for not being a new person. So I don't know. I don't like the idea that that our staff, pretend staff members are just like yelling at hardcore just to go away. I thought it'd be more advertised rather than just like inside information that I'm supposed to know.
As far as I knew, it wasn't just for new people.
Yeah, she shouldn't have turned you away. Come on.
So the thing that I just didn't like is like the assumption behind, whether or not somebody was like a hardcore trader. Like I had friends that were with me that I gave them gold Overwatches that I had traded for because they're super into Overwatch, right? And then they were with me, and so I told them to go like trade for some pins because they were doing one-to-one trading. And so then my friends tried to walk up and do one-to-one trading, and also yelled at them to go away because they had gold Overwatches and therefore they were hardcores. I just don't like this, generalization that if somebody has a rare pin, therefore they're hardcore, right?
I traded for something on the table. I didn't give a shit. I was like, I'm going to take that and go on my way.
Yeah, I got a sweet 8 H1Z1.
I took a Drawful Owl because I was like, oh, that's been sitting there for like a half hour. I'm going to take that because nobody else wants it, apparently.
Let it be known that lazorz doesn't like people assuming his trading status.
Did you just assume my trade status?
Well, how do you define hardcore?
If you trade for a DLC, you're a hardcore.
No.
I mean, there's certain websites that will show you hardcore versus the softcore stuff.
Yeah, I looked up hardcore pin attachments, and I just could not find anything that was even remotely close to what I was looking for. Even with that search string, the 7th image was still fucking corkboard. There were some surprises at PAX West, some good, some bad. We'll start out with the Adult Swim Lounge. Adam, what were your thoughts on that?
No, I don't know if it was a surprise. I mean, like, we expected Rick and Morty was going to be long, and it was long. Not long as in the line, but the wait was going to be basically permacap. Toe Jam and Earl, I don't think people quite expected that, but that's how it ended up being. I was kind of surprised by how many people said they couldn't get into these lines. It just seemed like if you talked to the enforcers or whatever, and you just treated them like human beings, eventually they just got you in the line. So maybe that's just me, but I don't see how that was such a huge problem.
Treat enforcers like human beings? That you need to be instructions unclear, dick stuck in VR.
I mean, like, they're people. You don't have to go up there and be like, get me in this fucking line. I need a pin. And you just, oh, yeah, okay, it's capped. Yeah, how you doing? How's your day going? Weekends, first packs, blah, blah, blah. Fucking grease the rails, and then you're in.
lazorz, what was your experience getting into the Adult Swim Meeseeks line specifically? Because I know you did it a couple times, right?
So I actually found out, I waited in line starting around maybe like 7:30 or 8 a.m. on Saturday. And, the first thing I did was I sprinted upstairs as fast as I could to go to the Adult Swim Lounge, and it was already capped, at 10 a.m. period. The line was already completely full. And so I found out actually, trying to wait a few hours before Expo opens and bum rush Adult Swim was not a good idea because it would already be capped. But if it was at some random point during the day, like the line would move up a bit, and so every 10 minutes they would let, like 5 or 6 people into the line, which was awesome. Because that way, instead of waiting 2 or 3 hours before the show opens, you just have to wait, 10 or 20 minutes right outside the line entrance, and then eventually they would let you in.
I had more than one enforcer tell me, because I put my hammer in line for me when I had to go pee, because I do frequently, because I'm hydrated, and I had more than one enforcer tell me that hammer is not a line holder. It has to be a human being in line, or your spot's not saved.
Seriously?
You should have just dropped trial.
I will pee on someone if I have to.
Totally should have.
I mean,
that'd have been worth it.
I'm not sure what my options are here. The hammer's not hollow, so pee's going everywhere.
Yeah, you might have gotten 2 Meeseeks for that.
No, but I legit got into both of those capped lines, just being like, oh my god, I hauled my hammer all the way over here, and the line is capped. Will you please let me in? It's just 2 people. And I got into both of them, so.
Meanwhile, there's like 40 people right next to the line when you get in.
Yeah. They should have cosplayed.
Yeah, they should have brought a hammer.
Should have cosplayed. Cosplay gets you shit. Cosplay gets you extra Mysterions.
So there was a fair amount of discussion on Slack, specifically on Monday, about the line capping before Expo even opened. So the people that did line up at 7 a.m. and tried sprinting up didn't get a chance to sprint upstairs yet because the line was already capped.
I mean, they wasted their effort.
Well, and I don't feel personally like this is a new development. I feel like this has probably been happening for a while. We just haven't been seeing lines this short until VR started becoming more popular at PAX, and a 30-person line caps fairly quickly. Whereas you look at Legion, for example, for Blizzard, and yeah, the game was already out and the pin isn't that great. Sorry, I love you, Blizzard. But you'd still have like 120 people wrapped around that thing, and it's 2-hour wait. You get 30 people in line, and it's 2-hour wait for VR.
And I'll tell you, as someone that looks at a lot of social media and looks at a lot of basically Reddit, that's my word for Reddit, people have been discussing it, like non-pin people have been discussing the line caps, but to them, the problem, the cause of these early line caps is exhibitors. They think it's exhibitors and media. They're thinking that media people are cutting. Media people are coming in at times when there's been people in line for 3 hours and jumping in on the VR. Media people are using their badges to get there early. I don't think it's either of those personally. I think there's another problem, but I think that there's so many categories of extraordinary badge, of badge plus, that I think it's starting to become a problem if the lines are going to be short.
So was staff trading better? Was it worse?
I would say it was, personally, I think it was better than the year before because having it during expo time prevented a lot of people to just show up. So the line didn't cap and people could just kind of wander in if they really wanted to go to it. The corral system, I don't think is a bad thing. Having like, what was it, 30-ish people in at a time for 15 minutes. I think that's fine. Lets people get in, get out, or whatever. It doesn't really give too much time to socialize with the different staff members, but I mean, who's really going to try and spark up like 14 conversations? But that's just my 2 cents. I guess I don't know, the only complaint I would have about that was the terrible voice yelling at you every 15 minutes.
Damn it, that's all I had to talk about. Thanks, Craig, you stole it.
5 minutes
Please
remaining.
make your final trade!
Lasers, do you have anything to add?
Well, I personally think that I love the new style of having staff trading during things that are also important, right? Because, like I said, earlier, during Prime 15, it was just the world's biggest clusterfuck of all time because, Markiplier was taking over like 70% of the room, and so we only had enough space for like 3 rows of people to go through staff trading. And so if you didn't show up like an hour and a half early, you were completely screwed. And so there are people showing up, even an hour 15 early or an hour early, which to them might seem, like quite early for staff trading. And they're still put in that overflow room, and they just didn't get to trade with staff at all, which sucks. But this year you could show up, an hour and 30 minutes into staff trading and still get a spot in line, still get a chance to trade with them and talk with them.
You could get a second spot in line, or a third spot, or even a fourth spot in line.
Or a 9th spot. You could go through every single wave.
I missed, and in my vast experience of 2 PAXs, there was a little kind of post-trade area at South. Like, it was an area where they didn't immediately shoo you out of, where you could kind of just pop a squad immediately after you finished at the tables and kind of assemble what you got and trade with other people that were also in the same wave as you. And it felt like that wasn't there, really, for West. Funneled back out. But I don't know, I kind of miss that. I kind of liked that, and that's kind of where I organized myself. But
I think that was just because, like the exit from staff trading was this like real long, thin pathway that just kind of like pushed you out the door.
yeah.
Yeah, but it pushed you into the help table.
Yeah, but no one wants to go to that.
Did y'all have anyone come and talk to you at all?
Yeah, we did actually quite a bit. A lot of people came. Well, how many surveys did you end up getting over the weekend, Hingo?
Around 200 total.
Yeah, so we probably had like 50 surveys I think done after staff trading. Like a lot of people just kind of walked by. They like kind of look and like, oh, there's no pins here, and just leave.
Yeah.
But some people stopped. We would talk to them or whatever, ask how their time went in there and how their PAX is going, things like that. I think it was pretty successful.
I think to Ren's point, it probably might be easier to just tack on the community trading event and just say that it's sort of at the same time as staff trading, and just say that it's immediately after staff trading. When you get out of line, go by those tables past info booth area or your info area, and that's where the community trading is. Trade with people that were in your wave, or walk out the door and go home if you want.
or go get food because you've been doing pin shit all fucking day.
Yeah, but it also wasn't really advertised that you could stay. Like,
yeah, that's true.
You were told you have 5 minutes remaining, 1 minute remaining. All right, get the fuck out of here.
They started queuing up for the... Oh my god. They started queuing up for another autograph session too, I think, during it, right? Like the Borderlands
Not until
staff?
the last half hour or so.
All right.
Yeah,
Like
I left
there.
right after first wave, and there was nobody out in the hallway or anything, so I had shit to do.
The negative viewpoints that I had, I liked the area where the info session area or the info stuff was. I liked the general corral style. I didn't have a problem with the 15 minutes because it forces people to be decisive, and if you do the math, 14-ish staff members, and if you think 2 minutes apiece, it's half an hour per wave, and it doubles the time to 4 hours instead of 2. Penny Arcade did a good job of keeping the area clear and running and moving smoothly, but at the same time, near the end of it, half the staff just seemed to be missing. There were just empty tables with random staff pins there. There was no reseating of those tables, which happened generally after the first round, where, all right, you just had 30 people go through and wipe out the quote-unquote good pins on your table, and then nothing else came on there.
I'm sad that there weren't any fun little games or anything. No one did anything cool other than a pin, take a pin.
That was some complaints from last year where people were upset that people were taking too long at a certain spot.
But there are certain games that can work quickly, like Failhour's dice game, where you put down a pin and he determines whether you get to roll 1 or 2 dice. That's a good, quick game.
I liked Dave's the cat catapult.
Yeah, since I was working the table, they were like, you can go in as part of the last wave, and I was like, well, I don't really want to trade anything. I just want to get my badges signed by Mike and Jerry. And that, yeah, they were like gone, long gone, just like this rooster tail of dust.
Yeah. So distribution for Mysterion was after the panel, correct?
Yes.
It was as you left, as you walked out the door, they handed you one.
But only if you stuck around for the whole panel. Because if you left early, like probably halfway through, I don't think they gave you one.
Good.
As a big fuck you, right, which is how it should be.
Correct.
I don't know. Will wouldn't know because I told him if he left early, I'd fucking burn his house down, and his house is also my house, so.
Hey, that became the rarest pin of PAX, so whatever.
There were 2 panel-only pins, correct? It was Mysterion and Mafia 3.
Yeah.
And the Mafia 3 distribution method was putting pins on chairs prior to the panel starting.
Mm-hmm.
So, Renfamous, what was your experience on this?
Okay, let's be honest. I'm walking into the Mafia panel. I'm sitting next to Evie, sitting next to Craig, another Craig. Evie's not going to do shady shit. She's a little bit shady. She's shady like a lady, though, so she's not getting crazy with it. And so I'm watching Craig, and I'm watching other Craig. And I see up in the front row, we got Fate up there, and we got Q up there. Q's going to do some shady shit. I can just feel it in my bones. He's up there with a whole row, and you know what? I mean, I was just watching in case some shit went down. But in my opinion, personally, if you get 3/4 of the way through the panel and no one has sat in the chair to it first, without disrespecting the speaker, without making it obvious, without going against what an enforcer has told you to do, I was really surprised by how not shady this group of friends is. This friendship group of loving penny pals did not do any shady shit, and I was really disappointed because I was expecting.
Because they were all waiting for somebody else to make the move.
Yeah, they were, and someone definitely cut Q and Fade off at the pass, and whoever else was up front, because some rando family of jerks decided that they were going to pull chairs out, steal a bunch of pins, and run out the door about 3/4 of the way through the panel, and took off with everything that would have been collected by good, honest pin traders at the time. I mean, I did see some good stuff too. I saw some people collect pins near the end, and then some late people came into the panel, and I saw Wraith, pulling pins out that he had picked up 3/4 of the way through the panel and handing them to people that came in late just to make sure they got a pin. I mean, I saw a lot of good. I was surprised and supremely disappointed that there was no drama or people being shitty that I knew. I wanted people I knew to be shitty because then I could gossip about them. So in conclusion, fucking disappointed. I am so surprised that when the family did the sweep.
I didn't even know that happened. Like I missed that whole thing.
But I knew when I saw the fire in Q's eyes.
Oh, he was pissed. He was pissed.
He was so mad. I was like, I'm surprised that fat armed family left without some broken fingers. I expected Q to teach them one finger at a time why you don't steal pins.
He told the lady he hopes she gets AIDS. He said that to her as she walked by.
And that's why we keep Q around. It was something like I don't hope you get AIDS, but I hope your immune system fails to fight the AIDS that you are going to inevitably get, or something like that. It was like not an active wishing of sadness upon them. It was just a passive one that was righteous, entirely deserved.
And after the panel too, after everybody was kind of left or whatever, then there was another member of the community who just went up and asked at the end. He was like, "Hey, can I get some pins for the boys back home?" He just gave them out. It was really cool. He got some for his pin group or whatever.
He totally single-handedly just cratered the value of that pin.
I mean, he gave me one to give to Bruticon because he got there and all the pins were taken off the seats, I guess, but he showed up at the end, so.
The community benefited from these glorious, and I encourage them.
So I guess overall what we're saying is the Mysterion distribution is better because you actually have like honest people who are there for the panel-ish. Or at least patient people. Instead of, just a bunch of fucks who just take a bunch at the end, or middle or end or whatever.
So, Hingo, rumor has it that when you went to go buy something at the Destiny booth, they gave you a little present.
They did. They tried giving me a Mega Bloks figure, which I told them to keep and hand to a little kid that was coming through the line later because I'm not going to use that Mega Bloks toy. But I did, however, keep the code for the, what was it, PAX West 2016 exclusive emblem.
I wish lazorz was still here because the degree to which he kicks himself for not purchasing 400 pin sets warms the cockles of my cold dead heart. If you flipped them, if you bought enough and you flipped them, if anyone had inside knowledge, like this would be like a fucking Enron level scandal.
I'm pretty sure people did. Well, I'm sure people were selling them on eBay at the show because the cheapest thing that they had was like a $10 lanyard, and that thing was fucking gone. Like, who's gonna fucking buy a lanyard?
I thought it was $35+ you had to spend in order to get it.
I thought it was any purchase you got one, but because the Mega Block was $50 to get that. So, because regardless, I didn't know till Monday night after everything was done that code was valuable, because I bought 2 pin sets. So it was like $80 or whatever.
If it was the $10 lanyard for it, I mean, that's $100 profit per person.
At least, because they were going for like $150 to $200, I think, at the start, and then it got flooded. I sold mine like right when I got home. Got 110 out of it, so I was pretty happy.
I'm gonna sell mine, and I gotta donate the money to Cookie Brigade because I would probably go to hell.
Like you hang out in Slack, you're in the trade channel, and you're like, "Hey, I sold 4 Destiny codes for $100 each, and you're a hero." And then you throw 4 Mysterions up on eBay, and all of a sudden you're fucking Hitler.
However, if we were a Destiny community Slack, I'm sure there'd be people pissed off at you, though.
Oh, more than likely.
So, Adam, I think the issue with the selling Destiny codes for $100 is okay, but selling 4 Mysterions makes you an asshole. One, as Craig said, we're a pin community, so we don't give a shit about Destiny. But secondly, talking about money seems to be bad for certain people, which I find interesting. Well, from the survey responses that I've gone through so far, a lot of people are curious about pin value, at least the people that have responded to that. And the feedback that I got from the panel is a lot of people were really interested in lazorz part talking about value, and they wish that he would have had time to go in more to that. Well, I did tell him to have that as one of his slides, just the screenshot of eBay with the sold listings checkbox checked, because that would solve a lot of problems.
A lot of people really hate that, though. Like, a lot of people hate bringing eBay into it when it's actually a very valid source to figure out what your value is.
It's a cornucopia of people. I think there are some people in any hobby that are always going to feel that it's taboo to talk about either the money that you spend or other people spend on it. Like, if you go and poll just Slack, the 260 plus members in there, and say, go through all of your finances and tell me how much you spent on pins in the last 12 months. So it's not necessarily, I don't think that it's necessarily when people have a negative response to talking about value, it's not because they don't think that it's important. It's that they don't want that dirty laundry being aired in front of them, and they'd just rather not know what they've spent themselves.
And I think that it also brings to light that some people may have gone beyond budgets that they had initially set for themselves, or they may have not made the best deal that they could have had they been more aware of the finances of it. Maybe people want to think about, maybe I did so-and-so a favor and I can't put a dollar value on the good deal I gave them on these pins.
One of the things that I talked with Lazorz about potentially doing that obviously didn't make it into his presentation was setting up a tier list for the show and saying here's where he thinks the value of each pin is going to line up, not in terms of dollar amount, but just rank it.
People would have taken a picture of it with their cell phones and used it like printing off the pin mash.
So in terms of setting this up for that panel distribution, part of that is really easy, right? Where you just take all of the purchase pins in there at the bottom. That's done. That's bottom tier. Is stuff that you can purchase actively at the show is bottom tier. And well, yeah, but I'm only talking about the current show, because otherwise it's going to get way too busy. So you ignore all staff. You just have the PAX West set, the Destiny set being slightly higher because it just costs more, and say these are the cost of these pins, so they're roughly going to trade for the same cost worth of a pin. And then you go into what you think everything is going to be after that. That's an earned pin via panel or whatnot. And to have the heavy disclaimer of, like, you don't need to say that I think Meeseeks is going to be worth more than Mysterion. You can say Meeseeks, Mysterion, same level, Coon Toe Jam below that, and then Green Flame, I wouldn't have put that high, and I still think it's valued way above what it should be, and it will tank eventually, but whatever you put for that isn't going to matter so much as going over the thought process of how you came to that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like there's separate tiers. There's, you can rank things by how much money it costs you to buy them at the booth. You can rank things based on how many hours you had to spend physically standing in line to get it. But then there's like a third kind of ephemeral category of things you had to be clever and or smart and or wily to obtain.
I think the discussion of tier lists is the way to go in the future. At least if trying to bring that information to the masses. Because then you're not trying to say, well, here's this eBay history list of all these pins for the past 2 years.
Well, that brings to an end this episode, and thank you very much for listening. Join us next time when we do a pin design deep dive into the West offerings. Pinnypals After Dark is Hingo, lazorz, special guest theaggrocraig, and yours truly, adambarg. Very special thanks to VeryBlueTardis, Renfamous, and Evanephrine for their invaluable contributions in bringing this episode to life. Until next time, peace.